6 Rice Krispie treats. 4 for the body, 2 for the head. There is some modeling chocolate in the body just to add some more stability. I normally throw that in the freezer too just to get it really nice and hard. After you got the head on, you're going to cut it and shape it to the size you want. Keep in mind you want it to be a little bit thinner than you think you want it, just because once you start building on the fondant, it is going to bulk up a little bit, and the Loot Llama's neck is fairly thin. Also, the shape of the Loot Llama is pretty square and very boxy looking, so keep that in mind too when you're shaping your Rice Krispie treat. You don't want it to be too round. Here I'm just cutting out some blue fondant for the underside. Just put that on and kind of smooth out the edges. I threw that in the freezer for 10 minutes just to get that nice and firm. Here I'm cutting some Lollipop Sticks for the legs. They're about 2.5 inches long. Roll out some blue fondant. Cut them about 1/2 inch thick pieces, 4 of course, and then just roll them up onto the Lollipop stick, leaving about 1/4 inch uncovered so you can insert that portion into the body. I just use a lollipop stick to make little pilot holes, if you will. Also putting them slightly on an angle because the legs kind of do come outward. Now just place all 4 legs in, trying to make sure that they're all even in height so it's not sitting crooked when you stand them up. Now this purple's for the top portion of the head. You're just going to put a little shortening and cover the top, bringing the bulk of it, I guess, in towards the front to cut and have a seam underneath, so you won't see that once it's all done. Once you have that all kind of in place, you're going to just flatten out the nose area a little bit and add 2 little nostrils with a ball tool or whatever you have. Then add little areas where the eyes are going to go. The Loot Llama's eyes are fairly big, so keeping them even. Now just cut off the excess purple with a knife, kind of going on an angle around the neck, which will give the strap. At the end, you're going to add that brown strap around his neck, so that will cover the seam that you're creating now. Once you remove that excess, you can kind of just smooth out the ends to kind of flatten them down so they're not sticking out too much. Use a little shortening if it does start to get too dry on you. This white fondant is for the teeth of the llama, kind of making it almost the width of his mouth. This piece is the purple, like I guess the bottom part of his mouth. So you're going to just shape that and make little areas where the white fondant are going to go for the teeth. And then add the teeth, and then just put a couple little lines for his teeth. I use an X-Acto knife, but whatever you have is fine. Now if you add just a little bit of glue underneath the mouth area, you can attach the bottom portion of the mouth, trying to work out that bottom seam, blending it in as good as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect because you will have that brown strap hiding a lot of this messiness under there. Now you're just going to roll out some purple fondant, tapering both ends, cutting them about 1 inch long, and then making a little bit indents for the inside of the ears. with, I used a Dresden tool. And then add a little bit of glue on top of his head and a little bit on the inside of the ears just to attach the ears together, and then attaching the ears to the head, and then work out the bottom seam with any tool you have. And I don't know the name of this tool, so whatever tool that is, if you know, please add that into the comments below. I use the back of that tool just to kind of give a little bit of a seam where the ears are, because they kind of do fold over a little bit. Now here I am pre-cutting all my strips for the fringe portion of the llama. There's 4 different colors, and for each color you want to have 2 rows of each color. So you want to roll out, I did about 6 strips of each color in, I think some of them were like 6 inches, but they needed to be longer. So about 9 inches. If you can roll out about 9 inches of 6 strips of each color, you should have plenty. Keep in mind the light purple you need more of, because you're going to finish the neck in all light purple. And definitely print out a copy or pull up a copy of the Loot Llama when you're making one, so you can see the pattern of how his body is. It does start with like light purple and finishes with light purple. And then on the on the strips, I cut little fringe marks. Don't go all the way to the top, obviously, because then you'll like lose pieces, but you want to do a little bit more than halfway up, and then just overlapping each piece as you go up, probably about halfway or so. Keeping in mind you do want 2 rows of each color before you get to the neck, which can be a little bit tricky. Once you do get to the neck part, I started just covering the body and then covering the neck separately to hide that area between the body and the neck area. And then also once you get to like this top part, I put a little piece of light purple there just to kind of have it even across, but it doesn't really make a difference if you put that there or not. The saddle part of the llama, I kind of roll out a little bit thicker so it won't fall in that area, and it looks fine. Total, it took me about 40 minutes to do all of this fringe work, if you will. It is a little bit time consuming and tedious, but it looks really cool when it's done. So once you get to the top part, you're just going to add a little bit of glue all the way around that last seam. Oh, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now I made the eyeballs. So roll out 2 small pieces of white fondant, add a little bit of glue in those eye sockets, and then press them in. And then after I did that, I just used the ball tool and just made little divots for the black fondant. And then just roll them out and place them in. Okay, now this is when I made the saddle. Or, no, not the saddle. The straps. Oh my god. So sorry. Yeah, the straps. So the straps are 1/4 inch thick. Oh, also, I rolled all of these pieces out in the pasta machine on the KitchenAid pasta machine. So it's a setting number 5, which are fairly thin, but not like too thin. And then just wrapping the straps around the back area to cover that seam, and then I put the bottom of that top strap underneath so you can't see that seam at all. And now for the saddle part, I pre-cut, or I guess I just cut the arrow out by hand, but normally I have like a little, like a stencil that I pre-made, but I couldn't find it, so I just wung it, and that's why both my arrows look not even at all. So this part is for the actual saddle that overlaps the body. I think it was 1 inch by 5 inches or something I did, but you can adjust the size according to the size of your llama. And I just hand rolled that out, so it was fairly thick, this piece. And then just add your arrows on either side. And then at the end, I just took some water and airbrushed it just to get off any cornstarch or anything that may have still been on the fondant pieces. And there you have it. It's done. Definitely, if you make one of these, please let me know how you made out, and I would love to see pictures if you have any. So definitely share, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and definitely check out my channel for more videos. Thank you guys. Bye.